I managed to get over the line in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's really good. How old are you again? 23?
23.
23, man. When I was 23, I wasn't thinking like this.
If I encounter a problem, who can I talk to?
Right.
So then that's where I was looking for more coaching or more continued support as opposed to just here's all the information, go off and do it yourself.
It's like you said, having that one-to-one support in real time from an actual human being.
Once we jumped on the call, you kind of gave me back my confidence and sort of my drive to jump back on it and get it done.
Yeah.
And since then, we managed to get so much more progress, or so much more done for getting the property set up. It's kind of pushed me through the barriers.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm with my client Cameron today. We're in Essex and we're at his service accommodation. It's his first one, and I wanted to ask you, why did you choose to work with me?
So the reason why I wanted to work with you is because I knew there was education programs out there.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, if I encounter a problem, who can I talk to?
Right.
So then that's where I was looking for more coaching or more continued support as opposed to just here's all the information, go off and do it yourself. I thought if I had the continuous coaching, at least I have someone to talk to when I kind of encounter problems. And as you know, we've encountered a few problems with this service accommodation, so I've been able to sort of feedback or get some feedback from you to help push it forward.
Right, so it sounds like you needed that one-to-one support and you wasn't able to get that from other property coaches and mentors, people who are just given a program and saying crack on.
Exactly that.
Which people pay a lot of money for, and some people they are able to crack on with it and get on with it, but it's like you said, having that one-to-one support in real time from an actual human being.
It's also like the mental side of things as well, like just encountering or running through like a block, and sometimes you just tell you how to get through it. And I knew myself enough to know that would happen at some point. So I thought I might as well just sort of make the jump and get a coach as opposed to just education.
So it seems like you knew that not only were there going to be difficulties when it comes to acquiring the property and getting it set up and all the nitty-gritty stuff, but you were also going to face challenges in terms of mentality.
Exactly that.
And being able to make a decision fast.
Exactly that. And
being confident that you're making the right decision. So just having that person on a hand so you can contact them and be like, what do you think of this?
Well, even still, our last call that we jumped on, before that I was super stressed out about getting this over the line. Like I was thinking, okay, so I've got my day job, I've got that to sort of do, and then I've got this in the evenings that I'm trying to sort of push through. Right. But then it's like, before we jumped on that call, I was like stuck. I just didn't really it started to hit me a little bit, like, okay, I've spent this money, now I feel like I'm stuck and I can't do anything. But then once we jumped on the call, you kind of gave me back my confidence and sort of my drive to jump back on it and get it done. And since then, we managed to get so much more progress, or so much more done for getting the property set up. It's kind of pushed me through the barriers. Yeah, sounds good. And you just started setting up your first essay. You were really quick to get it. And now I think you're quicker to get it than you are setting it up. And that's why, the first thing I said to you was, rather than getting it perfect, let's get it live. I probably spent about a week, maybe a little over a week, trying to decide what colours to go for. So I spent so much time trying to think about what colour theme should I do each room. I actually kind of neglected actually just buying the stuff, just putting it in here, and then just sort of working out the colour theme afterwards. At the end of the day, it's not the most important thing. If you make it look nice and it's very comfortable, then I imagine it's going to be okay to listen. But then if you're going to sort of looking at, okay, let's have a green theme in the living room, let's get green pillows, let's get green plates, at the end of the day, you're just kind of not really going to get it done. So you came here, you've kind of had a look and just been like, you know what, just get it out there, just get it listed, and with your help, probably get it ready by tomorrow. If we just sort of crack on with it. But it's just that sort of, like, it's little things like that, just colours, okay. I spent ages thinking, what type of bed linen should I get? Because I want to get it perfect, or I just want to get it done. I want to get as close as perfect as possible. I just spent so much time trying to think or decide that I'm not actually getting it done. And then now you're coming down here, I just kind of cracked on and just bought some. And it's getting done. So Well, I hope you found it so far then, working with me. Yeah, it's been good. I mean, well, when it came to getting that deal on the line or getting that deal across the line, I had you constantly to be able to sort of refer back to, is this right, is this right? Is she trying to do me over, is she not? Just checking the numbers and making sure they're okay, because at the end of the day, it is a big commitment to take on a property and start renting out. So we want to make sure the numbers are right.
Yeah.
But then every time there was a change in the deal or there's a change, I was able to get you on the line, talk to you and see if it's a fair deal or not.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty impressive. We managed to get over the line in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
I remember I was in Birmingham when you was calling me, and I said to you, if you need to speak to me, and it doesn't matter what I'm doing, I'll make the time to hop on the call. And I feel like, I think we had like an hour-long phone call that day, because I remember just walking around Birmingham getting lost. I didn't know where my apartment was. But I was on the phone to you, and then after I hung up the phone, I was like, my phone was nearly dead. Yeah. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to find my... It was a nightmare getting back.
But there's so many little things to check, like, okay, the nightly rate, cleaning cost, and then we've got sort of council tax, the water bill, like, okay, who's going to be responsible for what as well? Yeah. Because we're using a management company, we've got to make sure that they're going to be able to adequately sort of look after the property while I then spend the next few months sort of looking to get the next one.
And I think one of the tips I gave you as well, I don't know if you want to put this in, but I'll go with it. One of the tips that I gave you is, you've got this landlord now who you're working with, maybe her properties aren't available right now, but can we have a conversation with her and find out what other landlords she knows in the area?
Exactly that.
So that we can potentially say, hey, look, we've done it, we're doing well with your property. We want to continue to do this and grow and expand. We've got so much demand at the minute that we want to we need more properties. Do you know anyone? Yeah. Because I've had that where I've rented a property and I've spoken to the landlord and she's referred other people to me. Yeah. But I have to have that conversation with the landlord, and I think that's something that most people miss. They sort of get their property over the line and then it's like, okay, well, on to the next one. Well, it's like, well, you want to dig for gold where you are and see if you're stood on top of a gold mine before you go out trying to dig for more gold in other places. You want to maximize the plot of land, I guess, that you're on, and really get all the gold out of that bit of land before you start looking for gold elsewhere. Does that analogy make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. But come to me. That's also like why the numbers for this one, it's not favourable. It was very borderline, but we thought as soon as we get this first one and we put under the management company, we can then focus on looking to get the next one. Yeah. But then also it's more credible for me to say to someone, I am doing this. I've got one already. Have you got any properties that may be open to working with a credible company?
Yeah, any landlords.
Or any landlords that would be open to work with a credible company. Yeah. So although this, is not going to make as big of a monthly profit as maybe the next one will, it's so much more different saying I've got one as opposed to I'm looking to get one.
And also being able to show source of proof.
Exactly.
This is the property, these are the pictures. Look how good it looks. When you get a website, you can put your property on the website. It's like, now it's legit. Yeah. We don't want to work with somebody, unfortunately, who's just getting started.
No one wants to work with someone who's just getting started.
No one wants to give a job to someone who's never had experience before.
Exactly that.
But how would you get the experience without it? So it's always like, how can we get our first win and then we can build off it and we can start building momentum, and people are they get overwhelmed. They think, I need to do this, that, and that. You just need to do something. You need to get your foot in the door, literally, which you've done.
What made you want to get in property?
Me?
Yeah.
Oof. Well, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I realised that, oh my God, fuck off. Well, what made me want to get started in property is I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I realised that I didn't want to work my whole life. So I needed something that was going to pay me passively without me needing to be there. And the whole idea of that book was that you build a portfolio of houses and then they pay you and you're just making money without having to do any physical labour. But the game's changed a little bit now because you can't make as much money from property as you used to be able to because mortgage rates have gone up, the house prices are through the roof. Yeah. So that's why having strategies like rent to rent, you can make more money and then use that money then to invest in assets. So investing in assets was always the end goal, but now I'm looking at, how can I earn more money while I'm investing in assets? Because just buying like 3 buy-to-lets isn't going to make you financially free.
No.
I would be surprised if you could even quit your job in this day and age with 3 buy-to-lets, and that's pretty crazy.
But I know someone, I remember going networking, and they've got 2 rents, and they do that full time because they've got 2 rents that they're now able to sort of live off and use to sort of provide an income for themselves. And I think they've got to that point where they're financially free, so they're probably pretty happy.
So with you then, I mean, what made you want to invest in yourself and get started in property?
I've always sort of seen stuff online of people sort of becoming financially free, building up wealth, and not having to sort of work a 9 to 5. I don't think I could ever work a 9 to 5. I don't think I can. I don't have that ability to sit down at the desk and work 4 hours straight and then have a 20-minute break to work another 4 hours straight. I just don't have that ability.
Right.
I'm always like keeping active and always moving about when it comes to sort of working. So when you could sort of see people able to go property to property and sort of find deals and sort of set up either a buy-to-let or a BR or sort of a rent-to-rent, you kind of think how that sort of looks like something that could appeal to me. And I've always wanted to get into property for the longest time. I've got distracted and I've saved up enough money to buy a property.
Yeah.
Then I started a business and got distracted. I saved up the money again, then started another business and got distracted. It got to the point where I was at that same position before. I saved up the money and thought, you know what, enough's enough.
Yeah.
Businesses are to a point where they're now ticking over and keeping well. I just want to jump into it and get it done, and that's the reason why I've made the jump, because I knew what I wanted and I know it's going to take me to where I want to be.
Yeah.
It's just that I've got to pull the trigger, get some education, get some coaching, get some mentorship, and then just look at getting the deals and getting everything set up. So that's why when we spoke with you on Sunday night, I was at the point where I was kind of like, I was just ready to do it. There's no point thinking, oh, I want to do it, and just thinking, okay, I'm going to do it at this point, might as well just jump on it. And I thought, I'm just going to jump on it and get it done.
Yeah.
That's my mentality. It's just, I don't want to be so sort of thinking about, what's those words, like...
indecisive?
No, it's where you like... it's like daydreaming. I don't want to be manifesting having a property portfolio like I have been for the last 2 years. I just wanted to jump on it and get it and make it happen.
Yeah, I think they talk about that a lot. I think I've heard John Belfort speak about it a lot, where he'll do a presentation and they'll be like, talk about the law of attraction and how in the book it tells you to just sit there and wait for a check to come through the door, and how stupid that is.
Yeah.
Whereas I do feel like there is a lot to manifestation and law of attraction, but things don't come to you by you desiring them or having an intention. They come when you take action.
Yeah.
So you can have all the desire in the world and you can really want to do something really badly, but until you actually take that first step, I feel like that first step is your sign to the universe, showing the universe that you're serious.
But it's also like sacrifice as well. I've been wanting to get a new car, I've been wanting to get a BMW for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I've got to a point, 3 times I've got to the point where I could have afforded the BMW.
Yeah.
But I decided to invest in myself, I decided to invest in the business, and I decided to invest in the skill, because I knew actually that would be able to get me to the point where I want to be, plus I'll be able to get the nice BMW, and then the nice Porsche, and then the nice house.
Yeah.
There's no point just spending all the money on the BMW now, because it's just going to go down in value.
Exactly.
Whereas no one can take education away from you, no one can take that hustling mentality away from you, no one can take skills away from you.
Right.
But then you can leverage skills, and you can leverage the hustle, and you can leverage education to then bring in the income that can afford everything you want.
And you know, when you do finally go out and buy that BMW is going to mean so much more to you, knowing that you had the mental fortitude and the discipline to say, no, I'm not going to have that right now. Even though I can, I'm actually going to put it into something where I can grow my wealth, and then I'm going to use that to pay for the car. So you never want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, and then use the money that's coming in from the house, save it up, and then buy the car.
Well, I have that rule, or I have a rule, and I refuse to buy a new car until I've got a house. Until I actually own a house.
A house buys the car, not you. Because when you buy the car, that money is gone, and it has no chance to appreciate it. It goes down in value. So I really like what you just said there, and I'm definitely on board with you. I mean, you know, recently I had the opportunity to join a course and it was 30 grand. Think of what I could have bought a really nice car for 30 grand, and I'm not going to get a Tesla. But I thought, well, what's more exciting? Spending 30 grand on a Tesla that's going to depreciate, and eventually I'm going to grow to resent because, you know, it's like that money's just wasted. Or spend it on education, learn the skills, build a business, and then eventually 30 grand doesn't even look like a lot of money, and you're like, oh, well, now I can have a Tesla. For me, I think there was a study done, right? I know there was a study done where there's kids, right? And the kids they get the opportunity to get a lollipop, let's say. And they say, listen, I'll give you the lollipop now, or you can wait 30 minutes and I'll come back in the room, I'll give you 2 lollipops. Have you heard of this study?
I think I've seen a little clip of it somewhere, but I haven't watched
the famous study.
Yeah.
And most of the kids ate the lollipop, they're just kids, right? But the kids who were able to delay the gratification for that 30 minutes and got 2 lollies, they followed those kids later on in life, and those kids turned out to be a heck of a lot more successful than the kids who just took the lolly. Because they had delayed gratification from a young whippersnapper.
Yeah.
Whereas most people today, you know, our age couldn't do that. Where you give them a lolly, you say wait 30 minutes, they just jump down on a lolly. People don't. We want everything instantly because we live in a world of instant gratification with Instagram and Facebook and
making everything look nice, as opposed to actually, it's so easy to look wealthy, but actually being wealthy is a lot harder.
It takes discipline, yeah.
Exactly, and it takes actual sort of sacrifice as well. I mean, it's so easy for me to go out on a Saturday or Friday, Saturday night and spend £100, £200 on drinks. But then if you say no once every few nights, then actually that can go into your savings and that can go towards a house, and you'll get that sort of asset a lot sooner than waiting until you're 30 years old to buy a house with a wife or kids and whatever. But if you actually sort of save now, put it into, you know, buy a house for a limited company, and sort of save your first time buyer status, and then you have an asset that's actually bringing in an income, as opposed to just buying a house in your own name, which is actually more of an expense than it is an asset. So.
Yeah. So how was the process of finding the rent-to-rent?
So I've started a website business, and from there I sort of use networking as a way to market my business. But then not just networking that, I kind of build up connections with other people that are sort of estate agents, letting agents and landlords. So I've already gone through the hard work of building up that relation, and then from once working with you, I was able to sort of leverage that to then be able to get my first rent-to-rent. So I've already been through the sort of the hard graft of trying to build up connections, going to these events was probably one of the best ways to market yourself. Then once working with you, I was able to leverage that and then bring in our first deal.
Yeah. Amazing. So what are your next moves after this?
So once we sort of hand this property off to the letting agent, she's going to manage it while we get some bookings coming, hopefully. And then it's my goal afterwards to working with you is to build up relationships with estate agents and letting agents, and then try and find the next deal. And hopefully this will bring in income. I'll also put aside some more of my savings to then be able to get the second rent-to-rent and start building up a portfolio. But then once you sort of build up them relations as well, if I'm not able to take it on, and now I've got the social proof of having this one under my belt, I would then like to look at either trying to pass on deals to other people looking to invest in the same area. I mean, there's already a couple areas that I've sort of are screaming to me of potential investment places, but like Southend and Chelmsford. So I would like to start looking at deals not only for myself there, but also for other people.
Yeah, I love that. And don't forget, like we said, always dig for gold where you're at first. And then once you've mined all that gold, then you can go and start looking at other areas. Would be my best advice. Always focus on your patch. Become the king of Essex. Yeah? And then once you've taken over Essex, you can take over the world.
That would be nice.
Of course, man. I mean, however high you want to take it, you know, I've got faith in you. I feel like you've got a lot of potential. You're like, how old are you again?
23.
23, man. You know, like I will say this. When I was 23, I wasn't thinking like you. You know, what you said earlier about like what we said about delayed gratification, like that wasn't me. I was a kid who would eat the lollipop the minute you put it in my hand. So I had to learn the hard way a lot. But with you, you're very coachable, by the way, and you listen, and I feel like you're on the right track. So wherever you want to take it, I've got faith that you're going to be able to get there. So if you want to see how Cameron's getting on with his first rent-to-service accommodation, then follow his page, Property by Cam, good name by the way. And if you want to find out how you can work with me and how you can get started and get your own deals over the line like Cam has in like 2 to 3 weeks, then DM me the word start and we can have a conversation and see if you're a good fit for the program.